everybody. Welcome to what I think is going to be a really special episode of The Bird's Nest. So today, we're not talking sales and marketing. So if you're here for that, honestly, this is not your gig today for the next half hour. Today is going to be on what I think is an inspirational story of, of trials, of doubt, of faith, and really, I think, of perseverance. And, honestly, I'm getting a little chills even talking about it now, so I'm excited. So Grant Cox is with me, Chief Marketing Growth Officer of Z Construction. Grant, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. Glad we're connected. Glad we did this. I know when we first connected, it was going to be a phone call, and you were like, "I'll do you one better. Let's hop on a podcast." So I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing this, and I'm always, as you know, I'm willing. I'm vulnerable. I always share my story for it to impact one person or whoever. So it's I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here with you, man.
I am looking, as we said right before we hit the record button here, I was doing my homework, and usually I take about an hour, a little over an hour to kind of go through everything, get everything set, some notes here off to the left I may look off. Yours, I just kept reading for like an hour and a half, and I just kept reading the story and kept reading the story and just kept going back. And I was like, well, I don't need to know anything more. We're just going to talk on this story and how it impacted you. And, I have some stuff, but I'm really just want to, and I can tell from your LinkedIn post how much you're grounded at, quite honestly, an early age in life. It just seems like you have a very, very good perspective on things, a lot different than what I had, honestly. And I think I just want to get into that, man. So let's start. So take me back, and you're going to be humble here, but I saw the news article and the newscast of like your high school days in baseball. You were a top 100 player, like in the nation, right? Like you are ranked. Now, what position did you play off the bat? I'm just curious there, man.
Shortstop.
Shortstop. Okay, so you are the guy out there playing shortstop from an early age. Started playing baseball at 4 years old, right? And you played,
Right.
and now we're in high school, and you're getting looked at. And if I'm correct, you've had MLB executives. You got drafted, right, out of high school.
Yeah.
What round
So
did you get drafted in?
yeah. So I'm trying to think back of kind of process, but when you're going through high school, there's certain games that you get invited to, not high school, but other games, usually taking place over the summer or fall. And usually if you do well at them, you can you get some attention from the professional stage, and did really well. And this was going into had a good summer going into my senior year. So you kind of go through, it's pretty crazy. You go through the home visits. So some teams come in, they have dinner with you, they get to know you and your family more. It can be a regional scout, it can be the area scout, it can be someone even higher up. And so I was actually hitting with my coach, who was my hitting coach since sixth grade. He passed away in 2018. And I was actually called twice by the Reds in the 7th round and the Giants in the 11th round out of high school to sign. And they give you a certain amount of time to think about it, talk about it. Your advisor, who I was with, I had an advisor at the time. He wasn't my agent yet. That's kind of letting you know that you're about to get this call. So we talked about it. It's a numbers thing, and my dream was to play at Clemson. So we decided to decline, respectively, and go to Clemson.
Yeah, so you went down to Clemson. Now you're down there, and help me with this part. You're in your freshman year or sophomore year when things begin to take a little bit of a turn.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is in a game my freshman year, I dove for a ball and actually played for about 2 more weeks, and had shoulder surgery. So I had a labral repair my freshman year, so I missed the rest of that season. And so really that's when the the domino effect started.
Hmm.
I would say that was kind of the initial, and I recovered well, 5 6 months, recovered well, was back on the field. I had an assignment. I had to get X amount of at bats in a summer league and then return. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. Yeah.
And then, so take us from there. So you finish your freshman year, you go to your summer league, you get your at bats, you come back in the fall of your sophomore year. You're talking what,
Yeah.
2019 now? Somewhere in there, 2018, 2019?
So let's see. This was so my freshman year would have been 2016,
2016.
because
Okay.
I graduated in 2019.
Gotcha.
And then
Okay.
yeah, 2017, and each year I was slated to start. There was always a battle going on, third, short, second. There was a great crew there, and yeah, man, just I think it was yeah, just a freak injury. And not I think, I know it was, and had a mass removed from my leg, about a 9 10 ounce mass removed from my leg, and um,
So about the size of
rupture.
your fist? I mean, is that what we're
Yeah,
talking here?
yeah, a little bit. Depending,
Man.
unless you have really small hands, about the size of your fist, and yeah, it was an accessory soleus muscle, which yeah, essentially I ruptured my calf muscle, and it detached and fell down into my lower leg in my Achilles area. So at the beginning, it was thought to be a torn Achilles. It was all intact as far as my Achilles, and then I had kind of the picture's actually crazy, kind of a 10 ounce mass removed from my leg, and that's kind of where a whole lot of um, problems occurred after that. It was a rare injury. It was a rare surgery.
Yeah.
Not a lot of doctors in the area did not know what it was. There was no real literature on it. So it was kind of like I was the guinea pig.
Hmm.
I remember that phrase being used a good bit throughout my surgery, my rehab process. So yeah, yeah.
And it's just a point of time where they say, "Hey, man, you can't play anymore. Like
So,
this is over."
so we battled it for a while. We had that. We kept going through rehab, kept struggling, and at no point was there progress made.
Yeah.
And the incision healed, but that was about it.
Hmm.
Progress wasn't really being made. I was super weak. I was losing feeling, and I was getting tests done as far as strength tests, mobility tests, feeling tests, and it just seemed like it was in a decline.
Yeah.
And I had two nerves removed. I had chronic compartment syndrome, which they had to address. And that's kind of when it got neural, and you know, there was signs of complex regional pain syndrome, which is an awful thing. When it got to that point, which was probably 8 10 months after the initial surgery, that's kind of when it started getting a little daunting, because during that rehab process, I also had hip surgery. My hip started bothering me. My hip was thrown off. Had hip surgery. Um,
And was that
and
just
so
a repair of the muscle? Was that
that
a like?
the hip was to repair the labrum.
Yeah.
Yes, on the right side, and we just kept trucking along. Um, of course, kept the faith, kept going. And then at a certain point, it gets to the point to where you see physicians, and they're not just as confused as you are, but this is because an injury to where they're addressing this injury for the first time. This isn't an ACL. This isn't a hip surgery. This isn't Tommy John or a rotator cuff. It's a mass being removed from a guy's leg who is a ACC athlete, um, and was medically disqualified in 18, maybe, yeah, the summer of 8. Let's see, maybe fall of 17, early 18. Was medically disqualified by the NCAA, was put on pup, which is physically unable to play, and
Mhm.
man, just tried to get through it the best way that we could. You know, tried not to hang the head, tried to keep the chin up because I knew people were looking. The story was kind of out. I knew people were looking at me to kind of see how I handled it, so I just tried to handle it with the most grace, the most strength and understanding. I had great friends, a great family to lean on, so that and therapist that I was working with to lean on, and you know, it became less about baseball and more so about, you know, legacy at that point. Like, oh, he went through this. This is look how he handled it. You know, it's kind of setting a precedent on how to go about adversity.
You said keep the faith, and throughout what I've read, and this is the first time we spoke. I can just see it's very prevalent, which I love, is your faith in God, your in what you believe in, and throughout. Has that always been a part of your life? Did it come really to the forefront when you had adversity, and like how did that factor into this in this time in your life, man?
I would say yes, it's always been a part of my life. But I'd be lying to you if I said it was always the center of my life. I think going through tough times and going through adversity and going through tragedy, you either go one way or another. And I knew that that was my shoulder to lean on as far as my faith, and a lot comes with this, you know, like as you're going through injury, as you're going through all this, my hitting coach passes away. We're going through this. We're going through this. A guy that was on the team, Blake Holiday, that transferred to Erskine, passes away in an ATV accident. You're going through rehab. You're not playing. My cousin gets killed in a high school shooting in 2018. So it's not just injury, rehab, trying to get back on the field. It's much more than that. It's much
Mm.
greater than that, and and it's much deeper than that. Um, and it changes your perspective. So the same day that I was medically disqualified by the NCAA was the same day that my cousin was killed in a high school shooting. So you talk about perspective. Like all I wanted to do was get back on the baseball field. All I wanted to do was this. All I wanted to do was that. And then that afternoon, that happens. That changes your life.
Yeah.
Uh, it changes your life. It changes your perspective. It changes your family's life. It changes everything. Um, that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
As far as faith, I mean, I didn't get down on my knees but I started creeping towards the Bible, scripture, because I saw that Luke, my cousin, his mom and dad were doing the same. And there's been people that have let me down, professionals that have let me down. And I know that's one thing that won't let me down, diving in the Bible, diving in scripture. So I'm not perfect, but I do my best to keep that at the center.
It's awesome. I was going through everything, and I read about your cousin in Parkland. Um, and my wife's a school teacher. Every day I kissed her goodbye, because honestly, and we never know what's going to happen in life, but you know what? It's always on my mind in terms of that. Um, and then I saw that your friend had passed away as well. And I did the timeline, and it was clear there was a lot going on, during that
Yeah.
time. And it was also
Yeah.
clear, though, that, kind of where you came on the other side of this. And, if I'm right here, you had like 15 surgeries, plus or minus. I'm sure, I don't know if you keep track or
Yeah.
not, but
Honestly,
you
I
know,
don't, but yeah,
it's close, right? Like
it's
it's in
around
that,
that or more.
right? You said He said a doctor told you running would almost be impossible. And he wrote this, and I'm just going to read this so I get it exactly right, because I love it. He knew the surgery, but he didn't know the person.
Yeah. That's
It's kind of cool,
that's
man.
true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, but you're a
Um,
young, I mean, you're still, I mean, you're talking, I mean, when you said this, you're what, 20 years old, 21-ish?
yeah, 21.
I mean, most 21-year-olds, honestly, are probably not having that, that's what I mean by perspective. That's a pretty, I would say mature perspective to have.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
know,
and no, and I appreciate that. And um, it came from a great support system. And to be honest with you, the hell that I was going through and that our family was going through, a lot of people can't relate to that. And some people can. I'm not saying what we went through is the worst thing that anyone in this world has ever happened. This is my story. But
yeah,
when you mesh all of that together, it's heavy. And
yeah,
then you have someone say that it either decompresses you or it lights a fire in you. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. Um, and it's crazy to like talk about it and like go back because I remember like being in the rooms and like certain things being said and certain things being talked about as if like I wasn't right there.
yeah.
Um, so it's just crazy, man. It's just been a journey. It's just been a journey.
Do you think you're through it? Do you think you've really gotten through that process?
Um, you know, talking about it for me, talking about it because I mean, there's more to it, man. I mean, I've been, one of my good buddies passed away in July, who I knew in high school, who I played with at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
I've been falsely arrested. I've been portrayed this image, and it was the furthest thing from the truth. That's the world we live in. Um, you can't do the right thing anymore and be praised. And I would say yes, because I know who I am. I have an amazing wife. I have an amazing family. I have faith. I have amazing friends. Support systems there. People know who I am, and I know who I am. So that's never wavered. And I would say I am, but in the same sentence, there's definitely some things that I I just wish people understood more or just tried to understand because and I've made this mistake too is you can't look at you can't look at someone's life through your own lens. Um, everyone wants to everyone wants to hear your story, but then also place themselves like in that same, and I'm all about like walk a mile in their shoes. If you were them, what would you do? I think that's a great perspective. But when someone's talking and understanding, it's like you almost have to step back and just be like, well, if that what most people are like, well, if that was me, and it's probably not true. It's probably not true. Um, so I just wish people would just understand more and try to understand more. And
Mm-hmm.
it's but as you know, it's not the world we live in. So
No,
hopefully one day
no.
that changes.
But here's what I would say, just by reading and getting to know you here, is that you're blessed with an incredible support system. Um, you just got married. Congratulations, by the way, right? We
Yeah,
share a anniversary within about a week of each other, right? So I count on you now pretty much forever.
yeah,
To kind of
that's
remind
right.
me. All right, we can help each other out on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Yeah,
at
we can't miss that
24
one.
and I'm at 24 years and a few weeks, and you're at a few weeks, right? So I
Yeah,
have a head start on you, but I still count on you to remind me.
yeah,
Um,
that's right.
but let's go back because I did find this interesting. You went to the gym. You met your wife at the gym. You were a trainer, right? And I'm sure the stories of how you met are going to vary between you and your wife. I would love to hear that one day. But you get back in the gym after all these surgeries. Everything is like you've been poked and prodded and told you can't, everything. And here you are, and it would have been so easy to lie down and kind of drink beer and have your, enjoy life and not have to worry about keeping in shape for the first time maybe in 12 to 15 years, right? And here you are, in the gym, and getting after it. Like, I find that to be, some people may go, well, yeah, Dave, that's part of me. And I go, no. After those many surgeries and just being told no and taking your career away, and you were this close, from the MLB, to go back and say, yeah, I'm going to be in the gym just for me. I think that's different, right? And I found it very telling that's where you met your wife, right? And I was like, huh, it's power that be on there's a little that maybe God at work, and I'll say it, right? So I don't know. I wrote that down, and I thought that was definitely something.
Yeah, no, no, it is. And Chandler, who my wife is, she's definitely God given, and she's an amazing person. And yeah, it been beat up, right? That's how I like to call it. Is definitely have been through the ringer and been beat up. And when you're going through certain stuff like this, there has to be a bigger why than yourself. So I was really, I knew there were people that would text me, and I knew people were kind of keeping up with how I was doing and what perspective that I had, and that was what my main driving force was to, it's not necessarily prove them wrong, but proving myself right. Like I knew this was going to happen. Like I knew that this was, like, even when he said that,
Mm-hmm.
I might have been the only one in the room that didn't believe him. Like I knew all this. I just didn't know when.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm not saying that I feel great every day or that I don't ache or hurt every day, because I do. And that's something that I have to deal with. But it's the perspective, man. It's the attitude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are worse off than me, that are in worse shape than me. I mean, I have a cousin who was 15 when he was killed, and I'm 28, and there's no excuses here. So we just gotta, whether you feel good or not, you just gotta keep going.
But you're out there running like a 5K, 10K once a month, right? I think you had the goal of running in Hawaii. Was that? Did I read that? Like you guys had the goal of running the marathon in Kauai Island. Is that? I'm guessing it's Hawaii. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're our plan this year is to run the Kiowa Marathon, which is down in the low country of South Carolina.
Okay, I was close. I thought it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like Hawaii, and you're
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
sounds like it.
it's in South Carolina. All
Yeah,
right, it's
sounds
close.
like
Okay.
it. Sounds like it could fit in Hawaii,
I mean,
but
seriously, I didn't look it up, so I guess I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that'd be a cool vacation. Go run the marathon. That makes sense. Okay,
yeah.
it's in
That's
South
our
Carolina.
goal. That's a goal for us to do that at then. It's in December. So we got a good while to train. We got a good bit to get there. So that's a
Cool,
goal of ours.
cool. Well, look, I mean, you went through all of this, but then I hear and I read you've done public speaking on this, right? You're with MedTech Vets, which is a volunteer, helping military veterans get into the, MedTech industry, right? Like, again, I go back to this. It would have been so easy for you to kind of go into this hibernation mode and say, hey, woe is me, and I'm going to take care of myself, and that's it. But it seems to me, and I don't have as much information on this, but it seems to me that you're now really giving back in
Yeah,
terms of like what you can do. I mean, is
yeah.
that a conscious effort, or is that just a natural, you gravitate to that, and and that's where you are?
Um, yeah. I think it's both. I've always like when it was Christmas break when I was in college, I would go work at the homeless shelter at Miracle Hill in Greenville. It's just always been in my heart to give back whenever I can. I do. And the military is a huge thing for me. It's something that I'm trying to do myself. I'm trying to serve in the military as a reserve officer. Medical is obviously an issue for me. That's a huge bump in the road for me to get medically qualified and all that kind of stuff. But we're making a lot of progress. and it means a lot to me. Military in general, people who serve our country, and with me having experience kind of in that industry, to be able to give back and help those guys coming off, and guys and girls coming off active duty, who really just know who really just know the military process, to be able to help them maybe resume build or interview prep, or know how to dress before an interview, or anything like that. Being able to just help them, it means a lot to me. So I'm happy to do it.
Man, look, I mean, I don't know, my background. I did 9 years active, and then I did recruiting, where I worked solely with military veterans coming out of the service into industry. And I got to meet, I mean, every type of company that you can imagine. Fortune 100, Fortune 50, down to your small business owners. But the best part of my job was always helping those veterans coming out on their first job out of the military.
Oh yeah.
Like the smiles you would get, the hugs, the handshakes, a few tears. Amazing. Yeah. And I, the fact you want to go serve, man, hats off to you, and the fact you're giving back. And I know, you've done speaking on a whole lot of different topics. I think it doesn't surprise me that before this started, you had that giving kind of spirit, as well. And it just kind of carried through, man. So,
yeah, I appreciate that.
What I would tell you is that, I don't know, from hearing your story, man, it inspires me. I think we all in our life have things that go up and down, and, you get into those lulls sometimes, but sometimes you need a reminder of what, like what, and like you said, and you said it in that, hey, look, you have a lot to be grateful for. There's a whole lot of people that are worse off, but I do think it's a great reminder to people to hear your story and to go, hey, this is what's possible. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Let's lighten this up a little bit, man. All right. Last few minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. We're going to push this out post college football championship. Right. I know you played you played some football, right? You
a little
played.
Bit.
Did you try out with Dabo Sweeney? Like, were you on the field with him or his players, or what did I read that you were like on the field with some guys?
Something funny. It's actually funny.
I think we need a laugh. Go ahead, man.
Like, it is actually funny, and I can guarantee you, whoever, and Dabo's my witness. Cole Stout's my witness. Jeff Scott's my witness. I didn't play it. I played football growing up. I was so baseball heavy, and there was some pushback on Clemson with me playing football in high school. And then so I went to a Clemson football camp, and I was going to play my senior year, and there was a lot of pushback, even from like Clemson, some professional stuff that was going on, and was at a 4-day camp, and I stayed after each day and would catch passes from Cole, and then a guy who played there, Tucker Israel, and I would just run routes, catch passes, and was actually offered a walk-on spot, and never played, and I hadn't played it down since I was 12.
See,
yeah, and some people won't believe that, but I'm just like,
look, man,
hey, it's out there. There's an article out there. Go find it.
I think I did see it. Right, like you in the headband and flopping. Like,
yeah, I had long hair. My hair was like out the
you had some like the flow, right? It was magical.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, look, man, come on. But look, I believe it, A, because I just believe you, and that's who I am naturally. But B, when you're an athlete, you're an athlete. I'm sorry, that's how it goes, right? Yeah. And I hate you for it, because I have no athletic ability whatsoever. And yet my brother can go out. He played D1 baseball for Indiana State. And yet he'll come, and he was like you, played 2 sports, high school, played basketball. He hasn't touched the basketball in, I mean, I don't know if he's listening to this, hate me, but 15 years. He'll come out and play horse or something at Thanksgiving and just start bombing threes, and I'm like, I hate
Yeah.
you. Right? That's your
Yeah.
athletic ability coming through. Right? I hate you. Right?
Yeah. That's
It's
all right.
just I mean, I believe you. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So who's going to win? Look, we all know Ohio State is going to win. If Notre Dame wins this game, I'll look like a fool. I'm sorry. It's got to be a 10-point game. So I'm not even going. I don't even know if I want to ask you who wins. I think it's by how much.
You know, for New Year's, I was at my buddy's house, and there was about 5, 6 guys. We were sitting around, and we were watching Boise State and Penn State. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we were going around the room saying, "All right, if you had to put all your money on somebody, who are
Yep.
you taking?" And I was like, "Honestly, man, I'm going to take Notre Dame." So I hope Notre Dame wins. I
Because that's
do.
your boys. You can go back and say, look
I
at
said
me.
it.
Now,
Yeah. And
I mean, the coach.
I actually met Marcus, or I actually met Freeman at a 5K. Chandler was there. This was actually at Palmetto Bluff High or Bluffton High. And he was with his wife, and he was with his like 6 or 7 kids. And I met him there, and he was kind of with the coaching staff. I don't know if he has roots there or roots with that coach, or he might have been down there visiting or vacationing. I'm not sure. But just seems like an awesome guy. He's young. He's um he just seems like an awesome guy. But Ohio State, they look incredible. So
They look.
they look incredible.
Look, if Notre Dame keeps it under a touchdown, I'm surprised. Right? I mean, I do. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, do. I am rooting for the one time in my life. I am rooting for Notre Dame, just because my company's based in Ohio, in Columbus, and I'll have to hear about it for 20
the rest
years
of
if
time.
they win. Right? But I'm a Penn State guy. I don't understand sometimes how we lost that game. Well, I do. I mean, we threw the ball to the other team, but mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. I get it.
And that's how it is. And when it gets down to these big games, man, the moment can take you over. So we'll see how they set in. I love how all of them are kind of leading with faith. That's great to see. It seems like it's kind of taken over sports the last couple of years. So it's good to see. So
it is interesting.
I hope they stay healthy and everyone has a good game, man.
I mean, 100%. I mean, I come from Philadelphia where we'll boo anybody, right? But the one thing I will get annoyed watching Penn State at times, and I'll definitely get annoyed at some of the play calls. But the one thing I do want to always remember when watching is these are 19, 20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden, you got a 19, 20-year-old kid, and you're shoving a microphone in his face going, hey, how'd it feel to throw the interception and lose the championship? Right.
Yeah.
And kudos for him for handling that situation.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought James Franklin was great with that.
Yeah. I wish that was kind of different. I wish they really, polished up some questions to really ask them, not the general questions, and definitely not questions like that.
Yeah, and I know they got to do their job. I mean, ESPN has got to do their job. I get it. At the same time.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can do a good job. You can be different. You can be different. You can do a good job. You can kind of set a different standard.
I think there is. All right, a few questions. One, who's faster, you or Chandler? Can she beat you?
No, I'm way faster. I'm way faster. She's fast. I'm faster.
What are you running your what's a mile for you? Give me a standard here.
It depends on
Don't tell me a sub-6. Don't give me come on, man.
So fastest ever is below that. But standard, the way we run now, 8.
Okay. That's
8
fair.
minutes.
If you had said
it
something,
just depends. Like,
we're
not out there.
I would have just ended this and just hit I was just left. Like, give me something, right? Give me something. I know.
Yeah, we kind of just go out there and just let it, get the legs moving.
It's good for you. All right, last thing. So 2025. You've been through a whole lot. You're now newly married. You have a great career. You're grounded in your faith. What's the one thing you want to do this year, man?
Really, I want to be in a position to serve the country in some way. as a reserve. That's something that I'm working through to this day, monthly. I have to go back to MEPS,
Yep.
which you know what that is. I have to go back
Yep.
and get processed in March, and after that, we'll kind of see where we're at. We'll get DQ'd in some things, and then we'll have to show some paperwork to back it up, and hopefully they kind of just glance at it and write it off. And because I'm fully capable of what they do,
Yeah.
and hopefully we get to the point to where we can raise our right hand and make an impact. So that's one goal for me this year.
Tell you what, you raise your right hand, I'll be there. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate
Deal.
that.
Okay. All right, everybody. That's it, Grant. I'm done torching you. Look, man.
Thank you,
I tell
Dave. It means a
everybody
lot.
every time that I do this, and every time I say this right here, this is the best moment of my week. Without a doubt, I get to meet amazing people. I get to hear some stories that I never would know, right? And I get to share them, and hopefully sit back and kind of get out of your way and just have you share your story. And I'm telling you, I don't have to edit this at all, man. This is great.
Yeah,
I hope everybody took something away from this because I know I did. And thank you again for being on, man.
yeah. Thank you, Dave, and it means a lot, man. And I'm happy to always do this, and I appreciate our friendship and what you do. I appreciate you shedding some light on my story, and know that it means a lot to me.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. That's it. We're done. You guys have a great week. This has been a special episode, like I said. I'll see everybody next week. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you, Dave.